Hello everyone, welcome back. I'm so glad that you joined during my Bible meditation time. So there are two keywords. First is the Bible and second is meditation. Bible is a book, but it is quite different and unique from the rest of the books. Usually we don't need a certain technique to read a book, but when it comes to the Bible, we must definitely follow a certain technique because it offers so much more than the rest of the book offers. So to grab all the benefits, we must follow a certain technique to read the Bible. The second word is meditation. The word meditation is so familiar to us, but the phrase meditating the Bible is not so familiar. So what is the process that we must exactly follow to make the phrase meditating the Bible promising and justifying? So we will look into all such things in this video. So let's get into this video which says 7 tips to read the Bible. The first tip is we need some space. We need 2 types of space. The first is inside space and the second is outside space. Inside space is the space inside our mind. Our mind should be made completely empty before we start reading this book because our mind is the pathway for the words of this book to enter inside. If we fill our minds with thoughts of what to do next, the assignments in schools or colleges, the food we must eat next, then the words of this book will not be able to get inside and our focus and concentration will be disturbed. So it is very important that we completely empty our mind before we start reading this book. So take 2 minutes before you read this book and completely forget all the thoughts that is going inside your minds and then start reading this book. We also need outside space. Outside space is the space around us. If we are sitting in a place which is very noisy, people are discussing about different matters, people are gossiping, then our full concentration will be on what they are speaking and will not be on what we are reading. So it's very important that we find a place which is very quiet so we can fully concentrate on what we are reading. So before you start reading, completely empty your mind and sit at a place which will be less noisy and less people discussing about different things. So that's the first tip that we must follow before reading this book. The second tip is take your time. Find a particular time of the day where you will be completely free and you will not be in a hurry to read this book. You should not read this book in a hurry because if you do it, it will not be productive to you and you will not be able to get into the deep things of this book. So find a time where you can completely be free, you can relax and with a calm mind you can read this book. If you read this book in a hurry, it will just be like a plate of biryani being put before you and you're only able to enjoy it just by looking at it, but you cannot eat it and cannot take its flavor. So don't read this book in a hurry. Find a relaxed time when you can read this book. Some of them, they say that it's very productive reading the Bible in the morning. Some of them, they read the Bible in the night, some in the evening, but you can find your own time to read this book. Reading the Bible in the morning has its own advantages because our mind will completely be fresh, there will be less noise around and we can concentrate in a better way when you read it in the morning. So find your own specific time when you'll be completely free and you can completely concentrate on what you're reading. Next is how much time should we spend reading this book? If you are a beginner, you can start with taking 10 minutes each day and spending that time reading this book. As day progresses, you can slowly increase the time to 10 to 15 minutes, 20 minutes and 30 minutes. As day progresses and as God starts to teach you things from this book, you will not be able to initiate your timings. Your timings will depend on how much God is teaching you that day. So it can go to 10 minutes to half an hour to 1 hour and even more than that. So find a particular specific time of the day, either morning, evening or night, and start with 10 minutes a day and then go ahead as you progress. The third tip is that you need a Bible. That's definitely not a tip because we all know that we need a Bible. So let's see some of the different Bible versions that you can use for our Bible reading. The version that I use is the NKJV version. I have also downloaded the Amplified and the GNT version for my reference. So NKJV is a very good version, and it is a modified version of the KJV version. We all know that KJV has got some tough words, like it uses thy for your and thou for you. So every time when we use this version, we must translate the words, so it was quite difficult for us. So we can go for an NKJV version. Again, amplified version is another simplified version of the NKJV version. Amplified version has got some extra details, and it also explains every events in detail. So amplified version helps us to better understand things. So try if you can get an amplified version Bible. Next is the GNT version, which is very simple. If you are a beginner, you can opt for that. But one of the shortcomings of GNT version is that it does not have the exact words which is being used in the other versions, but it has got completely, it is been written with the meaning of the original words used in other versions. So you can check that also. The other versions are NIV version. NIV version skips certain verses, so you can be careful about that. The other versions which are really great are American Standard Version, English Standard Version, and the New Living Translation. You may also download YouVersion or other apps for your reference, but if you want to choose which version to use, just download all the versions and compare a certain words with all the versions. Whichever is easy and simplest for you, you may buy that version Bible as a hard copy. You may also download the other versions using the different apps that are available for your own reference. So choose a version for yourself and start reading your Bible. The fourth one is which book to start from. As beginners, we all started from the book of Matthew. When I was very young, I used to read all the stories of the Old Testament books, especially the books which has got stories like Genesis, Exodus, and then 1 Samuel, 2 Samuel, which has got David's stories, Ruth, Esther, Daniel. So we read all those storybooks initially, and then going up to New Testament, I would start from Matthew and go to Acts, because it only these books consisted of stories. So I would say you can start with the story book, or you can start with a book which is very simple. When you learn this skill of meditating this book deeper, starting from an easy book or a story book, then after that, meditating a difficult book will become so easy for us. So start with an easy book, or start with a book of your own interest. Now, what does this book of interest means? The book of interest means the book of Genesis has got the adventurous journey of Abraham. It has got the climax story of Joseph. Exodus has got stories about a king getting convinced by applying some different tactics. Then Numbers, Deuteronomy has got that adventurous journey in the desert, and the Creator giving different instructions to people to follow at different instances of life. Joshua talks us about a successor's struggle to lead a nation, and Judges gives us information about great heroes and strong people who took over a nation and led it. Then we have Ruth, which talks about the foreign woman's faithfulness. Then Esther gives us information about the great makeovers and conspiracies. 1 Samuel to 2 Chronicles gives us information about kingdom stories and period dramas. Daniel's book gives us information about how we must live in different people's world with their practices. Ezra and Nehemiah talks us about how to rebuild things when they are broken down. So different books has different types of content and different types of information and different types of adventures. So what is your interest depends on. Check for those books and go ahead and read those books. So don't just randomly go and find any book, but find a certain particular book that you want to learn more about, or find a portion of the Bible which talks about a certain character or your favorite character and start reading from it. Or if you're not able to find any book, start from Genesis or Matthew and then continue from it, or read a new book which you have never touched before. So with all this information, find a book, start reading. Once you have done reading and once you have got deeper into one book, then other books also start to become so interesting for you. So with this information, start reading, start finding a particular book and start reading.